Hey everybody, it's Kelly V, the Pop Pixie here. This is going to be an epic interview. I've interviewed Jimi so many times, and he's always willing to lend a hand, some advice, and just be there as a solid brother. Not to mention one of the most killer guitarists I've ever had the pleasure of listening to. So stay tuned for this epic interview. Get your joints, get your beers, and just kick back and enjoy the interview. Thanks so much, Kelly V, the Pop Pixie. Hey man. Oh, no, I hear you. Can't hear.
There we go.
Yay! How's it going?
Well, pretty good. How about you?
Not too bad. Happy New Year and all that jazz.
Happy New Year to you. Can you see me?
I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Everything's
All right,
good.
great. All right, cool.
Did you have a good
I want,
holiday?
yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Um.
Cool.
So now that that's all over with, I guess New Year of music, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Going
Ah.
to be a very busy year musically for me since I've
When
committed myself so
when is
much.
the album coming out? Do you think officially?
Well, I originally wanted to have it out by April, and it's probably not going to be to almost June. And the reason why is just because where everybody's schedules are all kind of, iffy.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that everybody can get all their vocal lines done and that all the bass parts can get done, additional guitar solos. And also I want to make sure that everything's mixed well. And to be truthful, I mean, I don't have an actual drummer, so I use Beta Monkey Double Bass Mania samples.
Oh.
And I've also got Easy Drummer. And I would really like to find a drummer who would be cool enough and good enough to actually lay down all the drum parts to everything that's going to be on the record. And so there'd be an actual drummer, you know. So
You have somebody
there's,
in mind that you would want?
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a few that I'd love to have. The only thing is where, you know, okay, traditionally, whenever you get musicians who are fairly well known to do something on an album that you're doing, you have to pay them money. Well, I don't have any budget whatsoever to pay anybody. So the best thing I can do is trade with people. And that's what I've been doing with all the other musicians. It's just like, hey, if you sing for me, I'll play guitar for you. So that's kind of how it's been going.
Oh, what
And
a cool thing.
yeah, I just told him, I said, listen, I really want to do this record. I really like your voice. I'd like to have you be a part of it. This is what I can do. And everybody's been really cool so far. But drummers, I know that, okay, if I could choose drummers in particular for what I'm doing, I mean, one of them would be, first in line would be Michael Erie, who plays for Primal Fear. He also
Mm.
played for John Roth, and he played in Gamma. He said he's also in Gamma Ray, actually. If I could get him, I would, but I don't have the budget. another one would another one would be Mike Tirana. Mike Tirana was in Tony McAlpine, Gamma Ray, Yngwie Malmsteen,
Mhm.
Rage, Metallium, Tarja. I mean, so many iconic, power metal things.
If I've learned anything from you, it's to just be humble and ask. What's the harm, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I've actually sent stuff to Michael in the past, and he's given me, like, a few years back, he gave me his prices and stuff. I know he's still looking to work, but I don't have any money, so I've got to find somebody that, like, is really good, that was cool with me saying, hey, I'll just play some guitar for you on one of your things, or or I'll help you mix your album, just something.
Yep,
That's all
yep.
I can do for now.
I think that with what's going on with everything, I think that people would be a little bit more open to things like that right now. Because plus they're just sitting around, you know, as well, right? So much more free time. But let's talk about the new album, I guess.
Okay.
Starting with the title. If you want.
Devil's music.
It's really
Yeah,
good. I really like that. Um,
thanks.
and I guess just people calling this genre devil's music for so long. I mean, I think it's great, right? I'm
hmm
sure you've heard it. I've heard it. Yeah,
That's to be
but
honest with you, that's why I did it. I did it because at the time, now keep in mind, this was over a year ago now. So we're looking at a year and 2 months ago from this point, which is, today's January 4th, 2021. So a year and 2, 3, 4 months back, um, I was I was sitting with my wife, and I said, I've got two title ideas for a new album. She said, okay. I said, do you want to hear them? And she said, sure. And so I told her the two titles. I told her the first one, and she's like, okay. And then I told her the next one, and the next one I said, The Devil's Music. And she's like, that one's cool.
Yeah.
And she says it gets your attention,
Yeah.
and I thought about it because like I wanted to I wanted to have a strong title that meant something not just to myself but to other metal fans. So that like you were just saying, for many years people were calling rock and roll and heavy metal the devil's music, right?
Of
So
course.
um, I thought, why not use that as a title and let it be a celebration of metal? Because the music that I've been writing now for a while for all this to come out is it's a mix, because there's stuff that's definitely instantly identifiable as, oh, it's power metal. It's very European, power metal, and there's other things where it's just real heavy, slow, dark, doomy kind of stuff. So it's more in the doom metal thing. And then I've got one song that's more like thrash. And then I've got songs that are more, I guess you could say, traditional metal, more on
Right.
the wave of British heavy metal mixed with like Rat and Dokken and Wasp, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of cross pollinating going on as far as like all the influences I've like accumulated over the years are coming out, and they're still coming out, and it's really cool because like I realized by doing this it allowed me to just play metal as a whole, you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
and yeah, and so I thought, why not just a celebration of heavy metal, the devil's music. So
I
that's
love
it.
it. Love it.
Thanks.
And what would you have styled yourself before you opened yourself up to all the different genres per se?
Well, before I started working on this one, I was primarily known as just an instrumental guy. And the instrumental stuff I wrote was very much in the vein of the whole neoclassical power metal. Hey, hon. And
Hi.
the back in there. But yeah, I was more of what they called a neoclassical guy,
Hmm.
because I did a lot of stuff that was in the vein of Yngwie Malmsteen and Joe Stump and Tony McAlpine. But I always played more metal. As the thing is, like, rhythmically, for the songs, if you listen to like the last, I will say, yeah, actually the last, let's see, last 3 or 4 albums, actually. I
Albums,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, there's full on metal going on in the rhythms and the drums. But then I would do these really intense classical type things that were very
Mm.
baroque sounding, and so it made it neoclassical. But yeah, that's more of what I was doing before. I always wanted to do, just melodic metal, power metal, all those things, but I could never get a full lineup. So that's why I kept doing instrumental albums just to stay active. And
Mm.
I had a few tunes that had singing in them. On my third album, I actually had my younger brother sing a couple tunes on that one. He did one called The Void, and he did one called oh shit, it's called Machine Men. And then a few years
Nice.
later, when I did the Reflections record, I had a song called Dawn of Revolution, and I got Ralph Sheepers from Primal Fear to sing it. And
Brilliant. Brilliant
I had a
song.
song called The End of Innocence, and Adrienne Cohen, who sings for Seven Spires, and she's a backup singer in Avantasia, and she's also the singer of Masters of Ceremony. She sings in that one.
I just sent the video I made for you for that, and it was pretty well received. So thank you again for letting me do that. Really like
Oh,
it. That's a great song, and I love the fact that you're not stuck with a male or female. That you open it up to different things, because I think sometimes a song could be very very different coming from a man or a woman vocal,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, and I think we need a little bit more female representation in our in our genre. Not that there isn't some
Yeah.
greats, but yeah. So that's an awesome song. Do you have a favorite song off of this album so far? This new one?
Um,
Hard to say, isn't it?
yeah, it is because they're all still kind of developing. It's like um, each one has its own identity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's the best way I can say it. Like once I can get full completed everything, you know, because right now it's like I've got some songs that are right damn close to the edge of being completed, completely with all the instrumental parts. Because I've got Jan Eckert from Iron Savior playing bass, and
Oh
so
wow.
when he sends me new bass lines, I mix those in, and those songs take much more form. His bass adds a lot of depth and a lot more punch to the material I've written. And the other thing too is I give him free reign. I let him, like, I'll
That's
send him a
awesome.
song, and even though the song will already have demoed bass that I did in it, and I actually play the bass. I don't use any kind of a MIDI sequencer to create an artificial bass track. I really pick up a bass and plug in
Oh
and
cool.
play the line. I send them to him and he listens. Then I send him one that doesn't have any bass. And I go, here, dude, here's the basic idea of what I had. Feel free to do whatever you want. And he always does great. And I can't
Aw.
complain. He's a great guy. My friend John Malbum is playing rhythm guitar. He's in a metal band up in Maryland called they're called Forged and Static, and they're pretty cool. John's a real good guy. He's a good guitarist. I liked his rhythm sound, so I said, "Hey, you want to be on the album?" He's like, "Sure, absolutely." And so I started sending songs. He started learning them, and he's really dedicated to it because like he'll message me and be like, "Hey, bro, go into the studio. I'm going to bang out this one and this one and this one." Because I'll send him all these ideas, and he'll just record
Wow.
them. And I'm like, cool. So I've got his ideas already, and if anything needs touched up, all I got to do is say, "Hey, can you go back and touch this one up? Maybe change this part here in the chorus or whatever." And he's really good. And then all the singers. The singers are is the part that's taking, I think, the longest
Right.
because yeah, I've got Walk Away, I've got Tale of a Fallen Man, I've got Through Eyes of Gods, Mirror Me, My Dark Fantasy. Pretty soon I'll finally have Virtual Asylum because Tony messaged me over the holidays and told me he's almost done. Sean Peck's getting ready to start working on a song called Warrior. So yeah, I mean, I can't really say I have a favorite. I mean, they're all cool for what they are.
Yeah, I bet. Wow. I mean, is it the way you're gonna do all your albums in future? Just these awesome collaborations, you think? Or are you gonna?
Yeah, yeah, that's really what I'd like to just keep doing. I'd like to just keep doing that because it doesn't pin me down to one singer. It doesn't pin me down to like one group of people. I can work with all kinds of people, and I really enjoy it because it allows me to go to people with different ideas and different playing styles that are, even though they're heavy metal, it allows me to get guys who some of which have been in the industry for a long time and go, here, what's your take on what I'm doing? And you want to play on it? And some of them say, yeah, and that's cool. So
It
I'll
is
probably keep
really
doing
cool
that.
when people are humble like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I guess is it something though you miss not having your own core group, like your own band though?
Oh yeah, I've missed
Yeah.
that for years. I haven't had my own band in forever. I haven't had my own band in 20 years.
And none of these people you think you are gonna pop out a band with as a.
I don't know. I mean, that's another thing. I do this because I like to leave my options open, and I
Mm,
like being able to work with all these people. And if one of them was to come along and say, "Hey, man, you want to be a second lead guitar player in our band," I'd be like, sure, because like me and Tom Newman from Primal Fear, who he also plays in Center and Rock Meets Classics, um, me and him are co-writing some material together separately from what I'm doing,
oh wow.
and I've even invited him. I'm like, dude, you want to be on some of the stuff that I'm doing for my record? And he's like, yeah, sure. So who knows what could happen, but we're co-writing some stuff for Ronnie Monroe, and he used to sing for Metal Church. If you don't know who he is, we're co-writing some stuff for that.
Oh.
And then let's see who else. I'm in 2 projects with Karina Shear. You remember Karina, who was the head?
I
Yeah,
I remember her. Yes.
yeah. Okay, well, outside of the journalism thing, she's also a musician, and she had asked me. She's got a band called Mind Lapse, which is more on the Swedish death metal, Viking metal kind of thing with some proggy elements. And I'm like,
Nice.
cool. She sent me some stuff and said, hey, I don't have a guitar player. Would you possibly be interested in helping me co-write the next Mind Lapse record? I was like, yeah, sure. I said, send me the stuff and I'll see what I think. And I listened to it and I'm like, there's potential there. I'm thinking it sounded even cooler if I was doing it. Not to sound like, an egotistical asshole, but I really thought I could do some cool shit
Add
with this
something
that I've
to
always
this.
wanted,
Yeah. Yeah.
that I've always wanted to do. Cause like, see, that's the thing is like, I'm primarily known. Oh shit, I scratched myself. I'm primarily known as, the guy that's into power metal and neoclassical stuff and new wave of British heavy metal and thrash. But I'm also a big fan of death metal from the early 90s up through about the mid to late 90s. I like
Mm,
some of the stuff that's come out in recent years too. I was a big fan and still am a big fan of bands like Death and Obituary.
right.
Love the
Of
first
course.
3 More Angel records.
Yep.
I like early Deicide, Cannibal Corpse, but I also really love the European death metal. I love Entombed, especially their first record, Left Hand Path. I love Dismember. I love Carcass. I enjoyed Grave. I enjoyed At the Gates. Hell, I went and saw At the Gates twice. Actually, I've got
Oh,
a really cool
lucky.
story with you guys.
I
Um,
think we share like right up an alley of good music, man. It's weird. Um,
it's cool. It's part of
yeah,
what bonds
yeah.
us as friends.
You're
Metal.
undoubtedly an exceptional player. You're probably out a lot to that. Good luck with that.
Thanks.
That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
it's fun. It's like I'm looking forward to because like when Karina approached me about the Mind Lapse thing, she approached me right before Christmas and said, "Hey, my other thing, Lake of Dreams, I've lost my guitar player, um, and I've got some stuff in the works. Would you be interested in possibly doing this Celtic folk kind of thing?" And I'm like, "That'd be interesting. I've never done that, and I've got ideas that fit perfectly for it." So I sent her some of what I had, and she's like, "This is amazing." She's like, "You've totally got to do this." And I'm like, "Cool, let's do it." So I'm a part of that too.
Oh wow, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Spreading yourself really thin. I think how do you think you're gonna market the album, you know, not getting into all the bullshit of what's going on, but do you think it's gonna affect how it's gonna come out and be marketed and hit the populace?
Um, yeah, actually, I do. I don't know what's going to happen with all the COVID restrictions and all the lockdowns because I've noticed there's all these new ones now, which just gives all of us more time to just pick up our guitars or whatever and play music,
Yeah,
and write compose,
yeah.
which is what I'm going to focus on. I've even had to I've had to think like that's one thing I did actually this past week is I sat down and I thought to myself, okay, I've got my own thing that I'm doing, and then I'm doing some stuff with Tom, and then I'm doing stuff with Karina, and I'm going, okay, there's a lot there. And then I've got to, do some songs for some other artists, like actually Claudia. Claudia's got this cabaret jazz metal thing she does,
Ooh,
and
ooh,
she's
ooh.
yeah, it's
Nice. Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
to
yeah,
hear.
yeah.
It's really unique. She sent me some stuff, and because I like I said, the whole trade, she sings, I play, so
Hmm.
I've got stuff for her. So what I'm doing is I'm literally looking at a week's time and going, okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, I do my thing. Thursday, I work with Tom.
Oh
Friday, I work
wow.
with Lena. And I do it for like 3 to 4 hours at a time, unless I've got more time and then I can spread it out. But when I'm not doing DoorDash with my brother, that's what I'll be doing is I'll just be this day I work on this band, this day I work on this and so on. And when I don't have to work on say Thursday comes along and me and Tom don't have anything to work on for that day, then I can go, okay, well, I can either hop over to Mind Lapse or I can hop over to Lake of Dreams or I can hop over to mine. It's just a matter of what one I want
Nice.
to do at the moment. So
Nice.
that's cool.
As
So
long
yeah,
as you
that's what
just don't drain yourself right out. Was it normal amount of time to take like over a year for one of your albums to be completed?
yeah. I mean, normally what I do is I will write a batch of songs in 2 or 3 months, and then I'll sit and perfect them over the course of another 6 or 9 months. Going
Yeah.
back and going, okay, this part needs fixed, this needs shortened, this needs to be longer, this needs to be more epic. I do all those kinds of things. It's like I'll basically demo my own shit, and then I
Mhm.
go and I fix it. And it would often take a while because, like, well, for one, I don't live like the normal, musician life, I guess, because I'm broke. So I've got to find a way to make money,
I think that
and
is the normal musician life. Yeah, come on.
yeah. Well,
Unless you're, there isn't doesn't seem to be a middle class with it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's rich or
yeah,
poor. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I'm not able to do it full time and be independently wealthy enough to go, okay, I can write music all day, and if my bills come in, I can just pay them, and I can go to the store and buy food and get everything I need.
Wouldn't
My
that be
cig.
lovely, huh?
Oh yeah, see, a lot of guys I know do that.
I
I know
know.
guys that can live that way because they have that consistent income from either performing or teaching, and they're able to live a musician life all the time. I can't. So I actually have to step away from it and go do something else, which I hate. I
And you've
hate
never
doing that.
thought about like doing online teaching? I really think,
I've
yeah.
tried and nobody took interest, so that's why I stopped. You
Did you
know.
just try locally or did you hit it up on the internet like you can now? Like
Well,
we're doing right now with Zoom, you could do it anywhere in the world.
yeah, I did. And nobody was interested. So
Oh
I took
shit,
that as,
I'm
oh,
sorry.
well, okay. So said, fuck it. And I had to find other ways because, when you've got, when you have an electric bill that comes in and says it's $147, and then, the next month it's $256, and you're like, fuck, and then you get that cutoff that says you owe us 147.50 for electric.
Yeah, and I mean in
Yeah.
Huntington they will come shut your shit off because like, it's such.
Yeah. And
Oh
now
my
they don't,
god.
and the way they've got things set up and all the buildings now, the AEP, the electric company, went around 2 years ago to every home, every building, and well, actually over the course of 2 years, they went to every building and they changed the meters. So the meters that are on a building now, nobody has to come to shut off your electric.
Oh
They
yeah,
can
it's
do
been
it
like
with
that
the touch
for
of a button.
decades here. Yeah,
They do that.
just a
They do
button.
that here with the touch of a button. It's like, oh, your electric's getting shut off, and it's off. And then
Yeah,
you've got to pay money to turn it back on. And as soon as you do, they go like that, and it's back on.
I know. It's very annoying.
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, it is.
I mean, Huntington was a very special place. In many ways, it's got an epic scene. It's got a lot of loyal fans, like almost nowhere else I've lived, compared to the population and the income level to support it. Right? People were still coming to shows. Right? It's pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
I mean, yeah, people would. I do have to say this about the area. I mean, yeah, people would come out, but there was a time when there was a lot more. I mean, we're I'm of course referencing to 16, 17 years ago. There was a booming scene here, and you know, it just faded away.
I
I mean,
don't.
there's still bands, but not like there
I
used
noticed like if people are unfamiliar with Huntington, West Virginia or West Virginia in general, I think you guys did very, very well in probably the 60s to the 80s. You know what I mean? And you just see the decline that's happened to that city to the point it's like Flint, Michigan. I walked
to.
8 city blocks on a Tuesday at 11 a.m. and there wasn't one business open. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
the
yeah.
drug problem is very, very prevalent there. It's so sad. Like it hurt to walk around and see it amongst such a beautiful place. Like it's so filled with beautiful architecture and old awesome stuff and just has a lot of character. I hope the city can find a way to resolve its issues and stay relevant.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that because I'd like to see not just Flint and Huntington and all these. I'd like to see every place be able to rise back up. Because
Yeah.
we've taken America has taken. I should say the United States has taken a hell of a financial beating, and you know
Hmm.
we've watched. I've watched a lot of businesses go away. I've watched a lot of mainly when I say businesses, I'm talking about mom and pop. A lot of mom and pop stuff just goes, and it sucks because big evil Amazon, has pretty much, and Walmart, have taken over so much.
I hate that
And
I love Walmart so much. Like, I mean, if you are poor, that is like the only place to shop, really. You know what I mean? It's kind of
I guess it
a
depends on
love
where you
hate
are.
thing.
I mean, grocery wise, I make a point to always go to Aldi. We actually have that German grocery store chain here,
Oh,
and
nice.
so
Yeah.
the price. I mean, shit. Think about this. Earlier. I went over. I got a 6 pack of brew. I got a 2.5 pound sirloin steak. Yeah, you heard me right. 2.5 pound sirloin steak that's this fucking thick, this big. That steak was only $9,
Holy
and it
shit.
was yeah. Any place else would charge an arm and a leg for it, but
I,
Aldi charges little to nothing for all their stuff. I mean, you can buy 4 sticks of butter for $1.79,
Holy crap.
and
Okay. So when
and
I
it's
came
actually
back to
butter.
Canada, I had forgotten how expensive fucking food is. For a bag of milk, it's almost $7.
Mm-hmm.
Four
I know.
liters. $7, right? Chicken, I mean you can't it's over $10 for two chicken breasts at the supermarket. Or like a pound of meat is
I
over
know.
$10. It's just an absurd thing. And I think we're going into, quite truthfully, a meat shortage. I just ordered KFC tonight and they said they will not have white meat in any location in this city for the next 4 weeks.
So in other words, you're just eating thighs and legs.
Yeah. And they didn't
That's
tell
not
me before they sent it. I was quite pissed, right? So I called and complained, of course. So they're like, we'll give you free food. I'm like, I don't want more free fucking dark meat, but thanks. But yeah, I noticed the price going up and up and up. And they're really pushing this like plant-based meat products and stuff like that. Like it's crazy, that and
I have a
it's
theory about the shortage. I have a theory about the shortage. I won't stay on it long, but okay. You're aware that there is a bunker in Colorado, right?
Yes, and Canadians, these bunkers do exist. Okay, everybody's got like a fucking like. I'm not kidding, right? Like, anyways, yeah. Okay, what about
Okay,
this
so
creepy
anyway,
bunker?
okay, my theory is this. I get alerts all the time from this one website. It's called emergencyalert.org or something like that. And they're always sending me, oh, recall on chicken, recall on salad bags, recall,
Oh my
excuse me, recall.
god.
And here's the thing though. In the last 2 years, I've seen an overabundance of recalls on like ground beef, like literally
Oh,
like 4 million pounds of ground beef, and then so many million pounds of chicken, so many million pounds of lettuce, so many
for
million
what
pounds.
reason?
Exactly.
No, they
See,
don't give the reason though, right?
no, they just say that, oh, there's a salmonella outbreak, there's an E. coli outbreak. Really? So you're going to recall all this food, huh? I don't buy it.
Wow.
What I think is happening, I think the powers that be, the rich elites, are basically, they put that out in the press so that they can go, oh, here's why we're pulling all this food away from you, because it's bad, and they're taking it and they're putting it in bunkers. That's what I think they're
I'm
doing. I
sure
think
of it. I was just saying that the other day that meat and actually eating, any proper food will become a matter for the elite and the rich, and we'll all be eating food pills, which like bring it on.
and
But
drinking. Well,
yeah,
actually, I know this much. I know here in West Virginia, I've got a friend who's part of he's a Freemason, and
okay,
he had
yeah.
told me, he said, Jimmy, he said, have you ever thought about why there's so many deer here? And I said, no, not really. I mean, it's West Virginia. I mean, there's a lot of mountains and hills, and it's very rural, actually. I mean, you leave Huntington
It's beautiful,
and go,
yeah.
it's very rural. I mean, you've seen it. It's very
Hmm.
rural. It's
Hmm.
very, great country. So
Yeah.
deer are plentiful here. And he said, I'll tell you the reason why. He goes, they're waiting on something to go down, and people are going to need meat. So what they do is, like, different people who are part of the Masonic order in different chapters go to other states and find deer, and they hunt them. But the way they hunt them is they actually bring tranquilizer darts, and they shoot them with a tranquilizer dart, knock them the fuck out, load them into the back of a truck,
And
all
repopulate somewhere else. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they bring them to West Virginia, put them in the hills, take the dart out, and just let them wake up and go out in the forest and do their thing.
Wow.
And that's why we've got so many of them. I mean, we have so many deer that, I mean, shit, if you're in the right area, like, you remember Ritter Park?
Yeah.
You remember the
Yeah.
park? Okay.
Yep.
No shit, Kelly. Right now, I guarantee if you were here, I could walk with you over to the park and we could sit on a bench for 30 minutes and you'd see at least 24 deer.
Okay, that's beautiful. East Coast Canada, when I was in college, I mean it's very open, you know, very much like there, you know, it had industry but didn't go to mega city styles, you know, they just sort of stayed small. But you would see a herd of like 200 deer running,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing like it. And they're all like, there's too many, bam, 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 right? I still couldn't shoot one. There's no way, right? Like, I'm from Toronto, right? Like, and then I'd be like, did nobody see Bambi? Like, ever? That traumatized me, right? And then when I was in Huntington, the next door neighbor had like a house full of antlers and bear skins and like rugs, and you know,
Yeah.
we
Yeah, you
can't
see
get
that.
$2 for them there, I'm sure.
Well, you know, that's the thing. I mean, you know, this area is very populated by deer. So,
Yeah.
you know, and I understand it's a food source and it's a decent food source. It's not the greatest, but it's decent. Um,
We were
there's,
talking about the whole bad eating thing, right? Of course, you know, very media driven bullshit. But I mean, and then I made reference, and I think Ron Keel was laughing because he's like, I've eaten possum and armadillos and like, you know, squirrel shit. And I'm like, oh my God, it's true though, right? Have you?
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Ron Keel, I don't think he was originally from Los Angeles, was he?
No, he's South Dakota.
Okay. I mean, that's where he is now, but I don't know if that's where he was originally from.
I'm
But I
not
mean,
sure actually, no.
okay, obviously Ron, okay, I don't know if he's ever talked to you about this, but Ron was in Steeler in
Yes.
19, yeah, okay. You know who Steeler's guitar player was, right?
Refresh.
Ingve.
Really?
That's how, yeah. Okay, the way Ingve,
Okay, 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 yes.
yeah, Ingve
So,
Malmsteen was the Steeler guitar player on that first record that
oh
Steeler
wow.
did. And the way what happened was is that oh shit, the guy that ran Shrapnel Records, Mike Varney, was getting demos from Ingve and couldn't believe how good he was at such a young age.
I
And so
bet,
he
yeah.
basically what happened was he said, "Hey man, there's a band here in LA that needs a guitar player. Do you want me to bring you over and you join them?" And that's what happened. And of course, you know, they did their thing, and then obviously, you know, he left Steeler and he went and formed Keel,
You
you
know
know, later
why?
on. Oh yeah, he did better that way. You know, it's like he did better on his own.
Wow. I mean, he's an exceptional guy. I guess he's got a long-standing career in radio out there as well, right? Talked a lot about that. Really, really cool.
And he was a country artist too. Did you know that?
He's a what?
He was a country artist for a little while.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
kind of like what my friend was like. I got a great musician for you, but it's country. I was like, oh man. But Texas Hippie Coalition was described as country when I first heard them too. So I think there's like and I kind of like that smash, I guess. The whole like what do you call it? Red dirt metal, right? It's got this so there's so many subgenres. But yeah, it's like that whole country Pantera smash, right? With the southern stuff. And I kind of am
It's
digging
kind of
it.
like modern. It's like modern Southern rock,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just heavier, right? I guess.
Well, I mean, actually, if you think about it, you know, okay, in terms of Southern rock, just for a second, I'll talk about that. Um, okay, Blackfoot, the band Blackfoot. was a fairly big Southern rock band, about 79, 80, 81, 82,
Yeah.
83, somewhere in there. And so was 38 Special. 38
Okay.
Special, too. That's, one of the Van Zant brothers was in 38 Special. Well, anyway, Iron Maiden and Def Leppard and Twisted Sister and Sammy Hagar and all these bands that became, iconic in the heavy metal scene and the hard rock scene of the 80s
Right.
were doing shows with Blackfoot and 38 Special at one point. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, if you listen to the music of the time, especially
Yes.
Blackfoot's music
Amazing
was
stuff.
equally as heavy as, well, almost equally as
There's
heavy as
that.
like Judas Priest or Iron Maiden or something
Yeah.
like that. So it worked.
Yeah.
So,
And I think though that like in Canada, so much
mhm.
of these genres just don't get any freaking attention. And unless you're a diehard metal fan and you seek it out, it's really just not promoted or not shown. I don't know. We lost Much Music as a TV show, and we got 1 hour of freaking metal, right? 1 hour
Hey,
out of 24.
let me run to the kitchen real quick. I'm going to grab another brew. I'll be right back. Okay.
Fair enough.
I gotta go. All right. Be right back.
My coffee is actually getting cold. But you know what? It's freaking Tim Hortons, so it doesn't matter if it's cold, a day old, or you know what? It's still good. And if I'm not mistaken, the only Tim Hortons left in America that isn't right at a border is in Ohio, a teeny tiny town just outside of Huntington. I'm gonna ask Jimmy if he's ever had a Timmy's when it gets back. Oi, oi, oi. But I do think he's right. I think that if you're stuck at home, just write. Let's make some more music, get it all out there. I don't know what's going to become of anything and how things are going to move forward, but just can't wait to see and hear all the good stuff that's going to come out later this year. Because I truly hope that there's some kind of saving grace to all this bullshit really soon. That's all I can say. We weren't going to touch too much on all of it today with this interview, but that's all I'm going to say. All right. And smoke them if you got them and go get a chill one and wait for the rest of the interview.
All right.
All right.
Okay, I'm back.
Nice. Nice. So when did you have your interview show?
Oh, you mean wait a minute, the thing I did on television?
Yeah.
2 different times. First time was in 2007, and the second time was in 2008. And it was ran by Marshall University. Their audio and television production crew thing they had decided to start doing a late night talk show called Up Late. And the time that they were on the air, because it doesn't exist anymore, it hasn't for years, they had a lot of local people, a lot of people that were based out of West Virginia on the show. They actually had my tattoo artist, Ryan Worley, on. They had the owners from Comic World, the comic book store. That's one of the longest running businesses in the town.
Oh,
Had
cool.
them. They had various politicians, like West Virginia politicians on. They had, I think, the WVU football coach, the Marshall football coach, just like, people that were involved in sports, politics, and a lot of stuff like that. But then they asked me to come and be a performer. And it's really cool because, like, somewhere in my collection of photographs, I'll have to send you the picture. I'll have to really dig
Please
for
do.
it. There's a photograph of a photograph of me that's on the wall when you go in the hallway. And it's crazy because I'm smack dab in between 2 politicians. That's what's funny.
I mean,
you see these politicians in their suits and ties, and they're all, because they snapped a photo when they were talking, and there's me with my guitar, and I'm all into what I'm doing, and it's so funny to look at.
I mean, honestly, it's like that's kind of like how I felt there anyways. I just stuck out like a sore freaking thumb. So I mean, where else would they put you
Oh
on,
my!
right? But that's awesome. That's awesome. Um,
It was fun, and I was friends with one of the camera guys. I still am.
oh, it's
One of
awesome.
the one of the camera guys was a guy named Adam Ead, and Adam Ead has his own podcast, heavy metal show in Spain, with
Sweet.
his wife. Yeah, he has it's called the Hangover, the Sunday Hangover Special. I think that's what it's called, the Hangover Special, and it's
Nice,
like all
nice.
metal from over there. It's cool. And his wife Paula, they live in Madrid, and his wife has the Kurpala Rock show, and they
Oh,
play all kinds of heavy metal, and they've played my material a lot over
oh
there,
wow,
which is
send
cool.
me the link to that. I'd like to check it out, I mean, I always want to support other shows, but still try to get myself out there, right? Like there's so much cool shit out there. There's no
Actually, I
lie.
think you're doing a good job. I've watched you grow a lot over the last year and a half, and you're getting there. You're
Thanks.
doing it. You're
Uh,
getting, that's all it takes. In heavy metal and rock and roll, it's about consistency. It's about being consistent at what you're doing. It's about never stopping. It's about, even if you do something that sucks, you just keep going.
I know, I know. People are so harsh in their judgments. They're so harsh, and you know, putting yourself out there to be judged is the hardest freaking thing you could ever do. And it can make you, but it can also fucking absolutely ruin you as a person.
Yeah, it can if you're not strong enough. I mean, that's why I say it's like heavy metal is about strength and
Yeah,
unity and
yeah.
you know
But thank you for
being
that.
together. We're all in it. It's like
It's true. It's a loving family. It's a very loving family to be part of, and people are so kind when you actually make a connection. You've always been there to give me such great advice. It always panned out to be true, and with respect, which is like hard to find as well. There's a lot of creeps and frauds and losers in this
yeah,
industry as
yeah. You
well.
run into that. I hate that too. That there are those people that are like that. It's like don't try to take advantage of somebody just because they don't have a penis. It's like, so what? Just because she doesn't mean she wants you.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah. I actually made a T-shirt when I was in college. It said I'm one of the guys, and on the back it said mine's just inverted. So if I put that out there enough, people are like, "Oh, Kelly, no, no," right? So like,
that's
um,
that's good.
but
I
it's
like
true,
that.
kind of, and it does make it harder. Definitely being a woman, I notice like in the southern places, they just will not listen to you or take you seriously, or it's like
Yeah,
it's
you're
still
right.
1950s mentality in a lot of places, but in so many other ways, it's not, and I think that's awesome. Um, I don't really think it should matter one way or the other if you're male or female, and especially if you have a talent. Like, I mean, maybe it
Yeah,
matters more as
I agree with you that there. Regardless if you're a heavy metal musician, rock musician, or you're a journalist like you are, somebody's doing a podcast, somebody that's just asking questions about doing the journalism thing. You deserve equally as much respect as any musician because you know yeah, we're musicians, we make the music, but you guys are the fans who like it so much that you want to know more about it. So you're going to ask stuff, and then you're going to put it out there for the whole world to see, hear, read, whatever.
I,
And that's an important part of the whole circle of
I
everything.
I think so, and I think sometimes the artists, when they get to a superstar level, and you can't talk to every fan, you can't, maybe you become a little bit isolated because of your fame, because it's just too much, right? But I think sometimes they forget just how much they mean to a fan, and I think I just rewatched the Bobby Liebling Pentagram documentary of a
Mhm.
fan believing in somebody who is so broken at the time and so far gone from most people's thoughts of being saved or redeemable or helpable, right? Took 6 years out of his life to get this guy help and clean and to put out an album and perform again and saved him. Like, I mean,
It's cool.
so what a beautiful story of it was very hard to watch, right?
Mhm.
To see
Yeah,
what state he was really, really in, right? But it was all because that guy went to a record store, picked up a record, and listened to it. I was so
Mhm.
moved by the music, right? And that's the kind of power that you guys give a fan. You know,
Mhm.
I'm almost thinking of doing a special to my show where I pick a musician and say they pick somebody on their Facebook or their media circle that's a fan that they've never really talked to
Mhm.
face to face and offer them like this,
Mhm. That's not a bad idea.
and
You know, it could go really well or go really
really
south real.
horribly, right? I could
Yeah,
introduce them to their future super stalker,
yeah,
murderer, who knows, right? But yeah, I was contemplating that idea today. I came up with it because I think it is a powerful connection. Um, and right now, people have a real power to voice an opinion that makes a difference in what's happening. I know it's a really
mhm,
difficult thing to do, like you had said, right?
yeah.
But at
It is. I
least,
mean, got to get out there though. If you love it, do it.
yeah, yeah. But at least you could put out messages of hope.
Yeah, and that's a good
People
thing.
are really suffering right now, or to make a connection with somebody who wouldn't have otherwise had the time because
Right.
they'd be off doing stuff, right? I think that could be a
Yeah.
really powerful piece of media, or like you said, go horribly, horribly wrong. Have you ever had like a bad experience with a freak fan?
Not that I can think of. I haven't had what I would call bad. I've had a few awkward ones, but
What's the
I had
best fan experience?
oh God, I don't know. That's hard. I mean, both of those are hard to answer actually because
I'm good at that.
I've had a lot of good. I've had a lot of good, and I've had a few that are technically good, but at first they were weird. You know, my first really weird one was in 2004. Actually, I didn't have anything out at the time. I didn't have anything out, but I was playing in a local crust band called Profligate, who was this really raunchy, dirty, fast uh, band, that played crust punk. And crust punk, it's
Sweet.
a lot like grindcore.
Okay.
It's more metal. It's funny. It's more metal sound wise than it is punk in a lot of ways, as far as the guitars and stuff. But I had this one show I remember I was doing, and we played locally here probably every couple of weeks. We were doing shows at Marley's, and we were always doing shows with like 9 other bands. So it was always a lot. It was always a lot of people, and most of them were the local punk kids and shit. And at that time, there weren't a whole lot of metal kids, but I was this metal dude who was pushing 30, and I remember I had gotten a reputation because in the middle of a set, I would do a guitar solo. And when I say guitar solo, I'm talking about, we play this music that was really angry and pissed off and fast. And, people be, slam dancing and throwing beer. And then all of a sudden, I would do a guitar solo. And,
Nice.
I would do a guitar solo the same way, Yngwie or Randy Rhoads or anybody did, where you do that and you look at the audience and that whole thing. So I would do that, and I played the guitar solos in the songs too. Like that's the whole reason I was even asked to join. Was, dude, you play these crazy power metal guitar solos. Please put it in our music. Okay, cool. And it was my first chance playing live. So my first fan base was punkers. And I remember one night I'm playing. Sorry to get to this story, so took so long, but
No,
I'm
it's good.
standing there and I'm playing. I'm on the edge of the stage and I'm playing, and I'm rocking out. And this dude runs up and grabs the bottom of my leg. He goes like that, and then he flips out and goes, "Oh God, I touched him! I touched him! I touched him!" And he fell on the floor and he started convulsing.
You pulled the Kelly.
I was playing, and here's the thing: I'm in the middle of playing, and then I stop, and and his friend picks him up. He's like, "It's all right, it's all right, it's all right." He's like, I touched him, and this dude was going, "I touched him, I touched him, I
Oh
touched
my
him."
God, that's kind of weird too, right?
Yeah, so that was my first ever
Oh
experience with
wow.
something like that. That was, and I walked up to him afterwards, and he was still freaking out. And he must have been tweaking on something. I don't know, but I walked up to him. I said, "Dude, it's okay. It's all right." I mean, what do you say to that?
No
It's like
shit.
this person grabs you and freaks out because they've touched you,
Yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
I'm like, well, the thing I didn't realize, because somebody told me later, they're like, see the impact you've got on people. They said, now
mm,
just imagine if you were doing that all over the world.
yeah.
And I went, um,
Yeah.
I don't hear any stories like that normally. But anyway, no, that was a first. That kind of thing happened. Um, I've got um, I've got a lot of a lot of stories, probably like a lot of other people's, where you know you they buy merch and they want you to autograph it,
Yeah.
and they want pictures. I've autographed probably I've autographed a lot of tits. I've autographed some butts. I've autographed
Now, unless
jackets.
you're running to the tattoo artist to get that tattooed, I don't see the point of that because eventually it will wash off. You know what I mean? It's not like you could cut it off and just stick it in your collection, right? It's a lost
Yeah.
opportunity for a good freaking signature, really.
Well, the funny thing was, is I remember I would be autographing boobies,
Which is
and
fun for you. I
Angela
gotta
would,
admit, that's
would look
great.
at me and go, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm autographing." They asked for an autograph. Here it is. And they're like, "Don't they have merch?" I said, "No." They pulled their tits out and said, "Please autograph my tits." Done.
Accommodating as you are. I mean, that
Yeah.
is that I mean I hear that happening all the time, especially with big bands, but then it's like, but did you get an actual like anything to take home and keep forever? No.
Yeah, actually, I have a photograph. I'll send you the photograph of two chicks that have my autograph and the old drummer's autograph when I was in the band Warhell.
Will you
Um,
actually print it and autograph it for me?
no, I'll send you the photograph.
No,
Like
I
if,
want I want you to print it, autograph
oh,
it, and then mail it to me.
that. Okay. You're talking about me signing something. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
do
well,
that.
we're talking about it, so yeah,
Yeah,
man.
sure. Sure. I would be glad to. Actually, whenever I get this record done, I'll do that.
Yeah, I
So that way,
definitely want one of those too. Yeah. I was
yeah, I'll
trying to
do that.
make it like a prerequisite to get an interview that you've got to at least sign the posters that I make for Rock Metal Talk and send it back. I haven't got one.
Ah,
Or at least send me a t-shirt if you're a bigger band so I can wear it
do
during the
that. Yeah, actually, do that with any band.
they
Any band you,
I
yeah, just
want
say, hey, here's my address. Could you please send me a T-shirt and I'll wear it when I do the interviews?
because I
Because
never know what shirt to wear that isn't that band, right?
yeah,
And
exactly.
I don't have many clothes that aren't shirts, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's,
have it's cool.
but
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
is
going
that
back to the
like
original question, what was the best thing? Hmm,
that experience sounds kind of creepy sweet though, like a mixture of like
I got one. Okay, this is actually a groupie story. Um, I, for about, let's see, from the months through May, actually no, April 2006 till October 2006. I stepped away from playing guitar and just played bass for the band, local band Zero King.
okay.
And at the time, just we play locally, and then we'd hit like Ohio and hit Kentucky because it was easy to do. We were playing shows every week. Um, there was this girl that followed us to a lot of our shows. Her name was Angie, and she was cool. She was a pretty girl, and at that time, I'd started dating Jenny, my wife. And I remember she walked up to me. She goes, "So I know their story. What's yours?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Well, his girlfriend doesn't like him, and his girlfriend doesn't like him, and his wife is about to leave him. I want to fuck him. I want to fuck him. What's your story?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I basically let him know, hey, I'm not interested in groupies. I'm not interested in doing things with people. I've got my son who, at the time I was working on getting custody of, who I eventually did. And I started dating Jenny, and I said, I really wanted to go somewhere, so no, but thank you. Well, fast forward about a month and a half, 2 months later, while I was in the band, we did a show in Lexington, Kentucky at this one bar. And I had a bad day early in the day. And, then I had to come back home and, get suited up to go and be at this show. And when I got there, I was broke. I had 2 or 3 cigarettes in my pack. And I was just thinking, fuck, what am I going to do? I'm not going to get paid tonight. I'm not going to have any money for a while. What the fuck? And I was pissed off, and the show went horribly. It really did. The show that I was a part of went badly because of some things that went on in the venue and between some of the other bands. So I went up, I did my part. I played the songs with the band. And then when the show was over, I went to the bar, and I'm sitting there at the bar smoking a cig and just just going through things in my head. And Angie comes over. She's like, "Hey dude, what's up?" And I was like, "Nothing," and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Don't worry about it." She goes, "No, talk to me. What's up?" And I said, "You don't really want to hear this." And she's like, "No, what's going on? Are you okay?" And I said, "I'll be fine." And she goes, "Well, is there anything I can get for you?" And I was like, "No, nothing at all." And she goes, "That's bullshit." And she's like, she grabs my cigarette pack and looks at it. She goes, "Do you need cigarettes?" I said, "Yeah, but I don't have any money." She goes, "Are you hungry?" I said, "Yeah, and I'm broke." And she's like, she grabs a menu from the bar because the bar also served food. And she hands a menu to me. She goes, "Get anything you want off of this, and you get as much alcohol as you want off of this." She goes, "I'm going across the street and I'm getting you cigs. How many packs of cigarettes do you want?" I said, I'm looking at her, I'm going, "I don't know." She goes, "How about two? 2, 3, 4? How many you need?" And I said, "Get me whatever you feel is right." She goes across the street and she gets me 2 brand new packs of Marlboro Reds and a bottle of Mountain Dew because I drank Mountain Dew at the time. And she goes, "What are you going to eat?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I didn't think you were serious." She goes, "Oh no." She goes, and she goes, "Bartender," she goes, "Get this man as much alcohol as he wants." And I just went, "Are you serious?" She goes, "Look at me." She goes, "I will never be able to have sex with you." She goes, "But you are the nicest guy in this band." She goes, "And I know you're going through a hard time with everything involving your son and all that." She goes, "And I know that you don't really want to be here." She goes, "But I want to help make your experience here good. So you get anything you want off this menu. You get as many beers and shots as you want. Here's 2 packs of cigarettes. I'll be right here. I'm going to hang out with you." That's it.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. See, and I also think too, I don't know, maybe it's that people in our genre just walk a little bit of a harder line. They know what it's like to struggle. So that real communal family is there like
Mhm.
no other I've felt anywhere, and it's worldwide. It's like you're at a
Yeah,
show, you're family for that moment, right? But I also
absolutely.
think
Yes.
people who've struggled a bit are more willing to feel that in another person and help them out, and that's awesome. That's really cool experience.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
I'll be honest with you. I still tell that. I mean, obviously, I still tell that story. And I was
yeah,
telling,
it's
I
cool.
was telling I told my bass player that story. And I said, "Dude, I've got a groupie story I've got to share with you." And at first he was kind of like, "What?" Because I
I
think,
know, right?
yeah,
That could go down a dangerous line.
yeah, well, a lot of dudes I know in the metal scene who might have had experiences with groupies keep those very private and they don't talk about it. Me, I'm open about this because I didn't do anything. I was just me. But the fact that this girl was so kind to, at the end, to be honest with you, she bought me, it was this big burger. It was awesome. Big burger and fries, a couple bottles of Heineken, shots of Jägermeister, 2 packs of Marlboro Reds, a soda.
Nice,
That
nice.
was
That's what
great.
it's
And
all
I,
about.
I needed it at that time. And somebody to talk to, and she made me laugh because she would say goofy shit, and it was
That's
cool.
cool. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
And I think some of the best stories I've heard are of like musicians doing that. They just see somebody in the bar who's having a shitty day and they go over and have a meal or sit down and just be a fucking human for a while. I mean, right?
yeah, that's good. I think that's the thing people tend to forget about is that even though even though you go on YouTube and you see a band who has a highly, you know, pro, uh, high quality production video
Right.
promo for a song, and it's got cool theatrics or whatever, and cool outfits, and the song's rocking, and people are like, oh God, they're rock stars.
Yeah.
No, they're musicians who are doing what they want to do in life, but they've got a company backing them that has the money. The
Yeah.
band doesn't have the money. The company has all the money.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the thing. I think people tend to forget that those people who you're looking at on an album cover or on the back of the sleeve or on a video, dude, those people are no different than you. Those
I mean,
guys, those ladies were out there. They were buying the albums and the T-shirts and going to the concerts and putting the posters on their wall and doing what metalheads do, which is live for the music, listen to it, read about it,
yeah,
watch
so true.
documentaries,
Yep.
go to concerts.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
part of being metal. Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, there is a, in fairness, I mean, even recently you've had to remind me that they're just fucking human beings who happen to play an
Yeah.
instrument, right? Because I get a little
Yeah.
starstruck sometimes, but
Everybody
when
does.
when
Everybody does.
yeah, like when you're finally getting to meet somebody who you've had plastered all over your wall for half your life or whatever. I mean, there's nothing quite like that experience. And I mean, most people only get to have that once or twice in a lifetime, if that. And it's happening
Yeah.
every other day. And people are starting to get numb to my stories. They're like, oh, yeah, another, whatever, Kelly. You know what I mean? It's like, what'd you do today? Well, I talked to this person, this person, this person, this person's coming on my show. And it's just, it never ends now. It's so awesome.
And that's good. I'm glad to see that you've had that progress. I mean, you've had Billy Sheehan, which means, as far as I'm concerned, you should try to get Steve Vai, at some point, contact his management or maybe contact him through social media and just see if, hey, would you like to be on my show? I've had Billy, I've had Lips, I've had Ronnie Keel, I mean, especially when you start throwing names out. Hey, I've
I
had this
know, I
person.
know. I've been doing that more recently, just hitting up the bigger names on their Facebook and name dropping a little bit. I mean, Lips is obviously my co-host consistently and probably one of the happiest faces of metal there is. There isn't a person in the
Yeah,
world who wouldn't want to have a
I like
sit down
that.
chat with the guy, right?
I like the guy. I mean, just from that one conversation, it's funny because, like, I was telling some friends of mine that I'd been on that podcast, the first one you did with Lips and everybody, and I said
It
it was
didn't
cool.
record. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe that.
Oh, that's okay. By the way, were you recording this one?
Yes. They're all
Okay, cool.
instantly
All right.
recording now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But anyway, now I was gonna say Lips was really cool, man. I liked the guy. He was just another metal guy,
Yep, an
and I thought that was cool.
infectious, happy energy of never give up, totally
Yeah.
can do attitude, right? I mean, he said he's like almost 70 years old now, so he's been doing this a hell of a long time, right? And the amount of music,
Oh
I don't
yeah, I've
know.
loads of it. I've seen them live actually. I saw them with Iced Earth, Jag Panzer, and Quiet Room
Oh,
in
wow.
'99 at the Alro Sevilla, actually. The
I'm
Alro Sevilla
getting
in Columbus.
getting to meet all the good local people around Ontario because I've been gone for so long and I come back and I'm not the same person. So I'm able to
Mhm.
reach out and I'm meeting so many local people who've opened for them, played for them. You know what I mean? It's really good scene here, but there's no promotion. We're
I
losing our
know.
live venues. The festivals are dropping off. So I don't know what we need to do to revive the scene, but I want to do it.
Here's what I think needs to be done. I think bands should never stop. I think everybody should
Yes.
keep playing. Everyone should keep, trying to put a product out. And I think that they should just do it no matter what.
I
And the
think
reason why I say that
you're
is
right.
because, okay, regardless of COVID and everything else that metalheads have had to battle, I remember the 1990s. I remember mid 1990s before the internet was a huge thing. And I remember when the industry turned its back on heavy metal and decided to start promoting pop punk music, and then bands like Alanis Morissette and Melissa Etheridge, and
Mm.
you know, and then all these new rap artists and hip hop artists. That became the focus of the day. It was like alternative music, pop punk, and rap music, and metal was considered a terrible, evil, awful thing to be a part of because it's so 80s and it's so cheesy and stupid, and it's like, really? Okay, fuck you. I'm going to keep playing metal, thank you. So all
Yeah.
the metal bands, went underground and stayed there. And
Agree
so
with that.
metals had to deal with that because back then metal was looked at, especially if you were playing the type of metal I play and what Lips plays. Um, Dude, it was looked at as the kiss of death. It
It
was like,
was.
you don't,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want to do that. That's not cool. And you know what? We all survived because back then, like I said, no internet. That meant no YouTube, no SoundCloud, no Spotify. Everything was dominated and controlled by MTV and the radio
And Much
and the
Music, which
magazines.
is our version of that. Yeah. And like I said, we got an hour out of 24. Right. And I don't
Oh,
even know if it was on every day to remember correctly or not. It had a couple great announcers though. And one was a female, Erica M, who's just really, really cool.
yeah.
Right. One of my personal heroes actually for doing what she's done with the respect, you know.
hmm
No offense, groupie girls, but you kind of ruin it for everybody else. Well,
I'll
hey,
be honest with you.
they're people
Here's the one.
too.
Okay, in defense of groupies, I'll say this. Just remember one thing: a groupie is there because she wants to be there. A
Yeah. Oh yeah.
groupie
I'm not.
knows. Yeah,
No.
yeah, that's the thing. Groupies want to be that they love the music, they love the bands, and yes, some of them want to go in a room privately with one or two or three members and do things. I mean, it happens. It's happened forever. It's happened in all other forms of entertainment. It's happened in acting. It's happened in other forms of music. They're there, but you know, they're not they're not all that evil. You know,
There's an Anvil song actually about a girl that they all, you know, and it ruined her life.
you were telling me about that. The
Yeah, and
girl
she
that,
came to
yeah,
one of their performances and was throwing shit at them and like just throwing rotten shit at them. You know what I mean? But it's like it'd be weird to write a song about it, you know what I mean? And kind of out her to like the world, right? But nobody would know that's her unless you knew the girl in this situation, right?
to be honest with you, I think the most popular song. I think you and I've talked about this before.
I think so,
Um,
but
the most popular song about a groupie was done by Grand Funk Railroad. It's called "We're an American Band," and in that song, in the first 40 seconds of the song, there's a whole line where they talk about sweet, sweet Connie. She's doing her sweet, sweet Connie, and she's doing her thing, and sweet, sweet Connie is one of the most iconic and most popular groupies of all time. And it's amazing. I mean, she's from fucking Little Rock, Arkansas, and
I also think
she's
it just goes down to
known by
this
everybody,
to
you
this
know.
perception that women in general can't have a healthy sexual drive because that just means you're some kind of deeper deviant pervert slut whatever, you know what I mean? Yet when you look at the average male life, it's very very different judgment call. I think it's starting to change, you know what I mean? But it's like
Actually, I got one for you. It's not a groupie
kind
thing,
of a
but it's
sad thing.
band. Do you remember a band called the Donnas?
No.
Okay, the Donnas were early 2000s. They weren't pop punk. They were more
All
just
girl.
rock and roll. Yeah, all ladies. Yeah, they're called the Donnas because each member in the band's first name was Donna. And how ironic that happened. What are the chances? But
Yeah,
still,
no
they put out a
shit.
record. Yeah, the Donnas. did a song called, I think it was called 40 Days and 40 Nights, if I'm not mistaken. And in that song is about each of those members on the road finding boys in the audience that they went, you.
Of
And they
course,
took him
yeah,
backstage.
yeah,
Yeah, they
right.
took him backstage and they fucked him. They took every one of them back and they fucked every one of them in 40 days. Well, there's your charger. I found it. Oh, cool, thanks. So yeah, they did that. So there's the exchange of power. So instead of
And I think I'm
Motley and
sure,
everybody, you got
yeah,
the
yeah.
dominance.
I was talking with Jackie Chambers. Actually, she's from Girl School, which is the longest running all female, metal group and she's a doll, but she talked about going to a metal show where it was put on all female, only females in the crowd, all musicians, female festival, right? And how weird
Right.
it was to just look out into the crowd and hear all these high pitched screams, at the end of a show, right? But
It's pretty cool.
yeah, it's weird to me that it's such a predominantly male dominated thing, both playing and in the thing, like fans, viewership. I think that's strange to me for some reason.
Yeah, it was known as a boys' club for so long. I mean, even Angela Gasol, former lead singer for Arch Enemy, who is now their manager. Angela talked about that on the movie Metal Headbanger's Journey. If you get the second disc with the DVD,
Right. Yeah,
she talked about how metal was so much of a boys' club.
it so is. It
She
still
said it's so
is.
good to see more girls. I mean, I'm sure Doro Pesh could probably tell you some stories too, or even Lita Ford, from the
Yeah,
80s.
yeah.
But up to now, I mean, my God, look at metal now. I mean, shit, there's Nightwish,
Yes,
Evanescence.
yes.
I mean, fuck, Love Bites.
But it's like she
Help me
she
out here,
talked
Crystal
about,
Viper. On and
she
on.
would she
Yeah,
would she would call up to be on a festival or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, we got our token female band." You know what I mean? She's heard things like that, right? Where they only want one all-female band or whatever because it's a token thing. It's a gimmicky thing. It's like,
yeah, the gimmick
why don't
sells
you just
tickets.
listen to the music, and if it's credible, that's where it should be judged, right? In my opinion,
I
but
feel this. Okay, I feel that way. I feel the same way as you on that. Actually, a band that, excuse me. There we go. Sorry. Anyway, a band that I really like from Japan is called Love Bites. Love Bites is 5 young Japanese women who, okay, image wise, they're wearing white dresses, high heels, and pantyhose, and they look like anime princesses. They look like these women that would be in an anime, in some form of manga, some kind of anime,
right,
something
right.
that's, they look like that, but they don't sound like that. They
Yeah.
sound like Halloween and Testament and
Oh, wow.
Megadeth and Iron Maiden and all these great iconic heavy metal bands. It's power metal, it's thrash, it's so abrasive, it's so awesome, but it's so elegant because of the image. And they rock just as hard, if not more, than so many of the metal bands that do exist. And the
Wow.
thing is
That's
they,
really cool.
they play in Europe. I know that in Europe they're known for really well because they got they got to go play like the Download Festival and Bloodstock. I don't know if they played Wacken. I think they might have played Wacken. Yeah, actually they did. I did see some footage where they played one of the tents. But still, the fact that those ladies get out there and fucking kill it and make every dude go, you
That's
know,
awesome. That's awesome. But it shouldn't even be a thing. You know what I mean? It just be, oh, this is great band, right? It shouldn't be that they're women or what they're wearing or not wearing or whatever,
yeah.
right? And it's
What I was
still going to
getting
be a
at,
long time before we get there, I think.
maybe not. I don't know. I can't really say for sure, but
But
the
that is
thing that I
cool.
but the thing I was getting at is I love that band and I will literally take, like, sometimes, if I've, had a few of these, I'm sitting on Facebook and I'm like contacting all these friends of mine going, dude, check this band out. What do you think? Check them out. And I always get the same response for Love Bites. They're like, eh. And I'm like, what is it? And they're like, okay, the guitar players play great. The drummer's fucking badass. Bass player is great. I don't really like the singer. And what the fuck's up with all these these women in white dresses and pantyhose? And I'm like, that's their thing. That's just what they want to look like. And I actually watched an interview where somebody asked and they said, in metal, everybody's always wearing black. And they go, yeah. And they go, why aren't you? They go, you're here you are, you've got your hair made up all nice, and you've got your jewelry and your makeup and your nice elegant dresses and pantyhose and high-heeled shoes. And they said, well, we love metal, but we wanted to do something different to stand out because we are sophisticated, elegant women, and we want to be sophisticated, elegant women, but we can kick your ass by playing heavy metal. And that's what they do. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. And I
That is
respect the shit out of
awesome. That is awesome.
it.
I
And
mean,
I like that. You gotta be yourself, you know?
I I think so too. And it's funny that, now it's just a general look, but I don't think I did it on purpose. It just became my comfortable self, right?
Mhm.
But it is a pretty standard look, and it's yeah, I guess it'd be hard to get out of. I think you also have to be attractive to be marketable, which is not something that's a requirement for a man in any sort of rock or metal. You know, they're not
I've
judging
seen,
you on
I've
your
seen,
hotness as to whether they're going to sign you or not, right?
I know. I mean, that's one thing I hope does change. It's like, don't just look at a woman and go, dude, she's hot, I got to sign her. No, 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 no. How good are they playing? How good are
Yeah,
the songs?
yeah,
Because here's the thing: if I'm just listening, and it sounds great, I'm going to keep listening. I don't care if you are.
yeah,
I don't care if you're a size 5 and you can fit into the skimpiest pair of spandex and whatnot and be sexy, or if you are 7 foot tall, 350 pounds covered in warts. I don't give a fuck. Just rock. That's all that
yeah,
matters.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
think that's all that matters, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, okay. Just
Excuse
real
me.
quick, think about this for just a moment. Let's rewind back 40, well, almost 40 years. We'll say I better get 35 years. We'll go back 35 years. That's 1986.
Yeah,
1980,
shit.
1986. By that point was full on Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, and Poison, and all that stuff had reached that point where MTV was it was everywhere,
Yeah,
and it was on the radio. And granted, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest still existed, but they weren't getting as much attention.
yeah.
And then so you had these really pretty bands, these guys
Mhm.
who had the long poofy hair and the eyeliner and the lipstick and the sequin spandex outfits and all that shit, and they were getting all the attention. All the while that was happening, thrash metal was happening, and because thrash metal was happening, you had Motorhead. That's what I'm getting at. Look at Lemmy.
Yeah.
Lemmy, Lemmy was a god in a lot of ways because he was this guy who I look up to. I look
Mhm.
up to him and respect the shit out of Lemmy because Lemmy had the balls to say, fuck you. I'm
Yeah.
doing what I want to do. I'm
Oh
playing rock and
God, how
roll. I'm
much could you?
playing,
I don't think I could love him anymore. And there's an attraction there to the fact that he is such an incredible human being. You know what I mean? It makes somebody, you know what I
and
mean?
that's
Because
another
he's
thing too.
if you walk
He
past you on the street and it wasn't who he was, you definitely wouldn't think he's an attractive man.
and
But it
that's the thing that
adds to it.
yeah, people looked at Motorhead as Jesus. Who the hell would want to listen to this and look at this because they were so grimy looking. They were so
Yeah.
rough looking.
I
They
like
looked like the roadies. They did. They
that.
looked at the time. Motorhead looked like the roadies. You saw that. Okay, like those guys could have been the roadies for Cinderella or Bon Jovi. I mean, really, because if you would have went to a show, you would have seen a dude looking like Lemmy or Wurzel or Filthy Animal Taylor in the
Fair enough.
back,
Fair
working
enough.
on the guitar or
Yeah.
getting the drums ready or, doing the sound, the cigarette hanging out of their mouth or working on the lights. That's how roadies look. And Motorhead was as down to earth and meat and potatoes and real as you could ever get in that era. Especially in metal when image became, oh, everybody, you got to look this way, you got to be cute for the ladies. It's like the Motorhead said, fuck that,
Yeah.
and they got laid as
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
as the guys in Poison. Lemmy was getting just as much pussy as Brett Michaels. It's that simple. Because why?
Yep,
Because Lemmy is the real deal.
the
Lemmy
real
was a
deal.
gentleman.
That the edit shines through completely, right? I mean, I don't know. I was just talking about that. One of my favorite bands is Sabotage, right? When Zach took over, he's so fucking pretty. You know what I mean? I think that any fan that was giving him any sort of, most of my friends didn't really like that kind of genre. It was too pretty to begin with, the music. But I mean, it was always my favorite band. But I think when they switched singers, it lost them a lot of respect from other guys, and I don't get that.
I think, well, that thing there, that's a totally separate thing. It had nothing to do with the look. I think it's the sound. Okay, you take,
Oh, two
okay,
totally different sounds, right? Yeah, two very different
yeah,
singers, very different. I love John. I love Zach. It didn't matter to me, but in the same regard, I think it had a lot to do with the pretty boy image.
kind of maybe at the time. I mean, if I remember correctly, I think didn't John stopped being the singer for Sabotage mid '90s, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was mid '90s. By the mid '90s, it was a really, really weird time in heavy metal at that point. I mean, to be honest with you, that's a discussion we should have another time on one of your shows, metal and how it was in the '90s and how you survived, because that was fucked up. I mean,
it
I
was
watched a
fucked up. It was
yeah, it
fucked
was,
up. And I
it
think,
was
the grunge movement just put a fucking halt to it. And it's like, yeah, right? I
the
can respect
grunge.
that Nirvana had a couple good songs, but I mean, I do not get the obsession,
It was all marketing. That was
right?
it.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
went
And I think it
together.
had that
Yeah,
kind of music put a big stomp, especially in Canada, as far as metal keeping going. You're right.
it did in Europe too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, I've heard plenty of stories from European,
Sorry, Justin.
musicians and fans. When grunge happened, when grunge happened within a year, most fans had gotten rid of their skinny jeans and their black, band shirts, and got rid of their hairspray and got rid of their long hair in exchange
Mm,
for torn up, dirty looking shorts, combat boots, flannel, and you know, not doing anything with their hair other than letting it go dirty so that they could turn it into dreadlocks and or shave their heads. I noticed a lot of that in that time. I knew dudes that had naturally curly, amazing long hair, and they literally let it go for a full month or two without washing it, so that
yeah,
they could
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
dreadlocks. And then the thing they would do is like they would shave the top so that
Jimmy,
the top would only be this tall, but then all this would be bald right here, and then the back they would take they would only take a couple of strands of hair, and they would braid it and leave it like that for about a year, and then they'd eventually shave their heads. And I was like, why do you ask some of the guys? I said, how come you all did that? And they're like, I don't know. Just seemed like a cool thing to do at the time.
what, like a
And I'm
Billy
like,
Ray Cyrus sort of thing, like a fucking mullet?
yeah, it was like I knew all kinds of guys that did that. They would,
Oh,
yeah, they had naturally super long hair. They let it go dirty, like to the point where it was like, they were getting, like we're talking about, oh dude, I've got scabs over here where I'm scratching so much. It's like, well, fucking wash your hair. And they would dread it, and then they would do this whole thing where they'd lift it up and they'd shave all of this completely off. Like the sides were gone. They were completely gone. It was totally bald. And on the very, very tip top, like I said, it was like a military style flat top that they would do as like a mohawk. And then everything in the back, it was like a mullet. They would only braid certain parts and they'd cut the rest out. I even knew dudes who went so far as to actually just take one dread and just let it keep going until it got to their ass, and they'd have them dread this long, just one that was wrapped up in like green tape and stuff. And they would keep that for years. And it was just, I just never could understand why they did it.
I mean,
But it
there's
was their
definitely clean dreads and dirty dreads, and it's a lot of work, and you're
oh yeah, I
definitely
know.
worth it. Yeah. Used to hate
But you gotta
hippies. a lot for that.
Well,
But
your dreads are cool looking. I mean, those are
I
that's
was
just
just gonna say I shaved on this. I'm like, do you know who you're talking to right now? But I
okay,
would
but you
not
got to.
take the
I
top
mean,
and mullet.
yeah, but
That just sounds
used to do
weird.
that. That was crazy. It was back then. I mean, and the other thing too was all the dudes literally just shaved their heads. Like they'd have a completely perfectly great, head of hair that was like down to here, and then
Yes.
you'd go. Then the next day you'd go to the bar, and somebody'd be like, "Hey, where's Johnny at?" Oh, dude, he's over there. Have you seen him yet? And I'm like, huh? And they go, I'd be like, there's no way, because they would have no hair. It was all gone.
I
They'd
know,
shaved
right?
it. I was like, and I would ask them, I said, why'd you all do that? Like, man, metal's dead, man. And I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah, you're, whatever.
Poser. Well, it definitely takes a lot of work to maintain long hair if you're not used to that, and I guess the easiness of just not having any hair would be, but most guys I know with their long hair are very snobby about it. It's like half their life, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had long hair for, oh my God, a long time. We'll just say that.
A long time.
Yeah, I've had long hair for a long time. And Um, now the '90s though, it became a trend. It became cool to not be metal, to cut your hair, or to do something really funky and fucked up with your hair,
Yeah.
because oh well, we all want to be accepted. So let's get rid of all the stuff we really supposedly liked and exchange it for this.
But I
I'm like,
did notice
that's not
like pushing towards
anyone.
2020, everybody's making a major comeback. You know what I mean? Everybody. And it's something that's, becoming popular again, especially with the young generation, the young teens, right?
Yeah,
It's a genre that's making a great comeback and I'm really proud about that. I hope it continues, you know.
long live metal. you know,
Forever, right? But I also
long
think
live
it's
metal.
going to be very hard to get these new iconic people that we grew up with to influence the young ones. I think
It
that
ends. I mean, okay, I'll just say this: Iron Maiden, Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Halloween, Van Halen, especially Eddie Van Halen.
right are now just
All
going to
those
be,
artists are always going to be held in high regard the same way Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, and all those people are.
but those
Same
kids will
way.
never be able to go see them like we did.
Nah, they won't be able to see them, but they'll always hold them in high regard.
Yes,
And I think that's
definitely,
what's
definitely.
important. I mean, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Saxon and Def Leppard, you still, as long as they open shit back up eventually to where you can go
Yep.
to a concert and there's no social distancing and no fear of being sick, everybody can go back to being normal again. Then yeah, there's a chance that kids, 17, 18, 19 years old, 16, 15, whatever, can go see those bands.
But I also
um
think it's going to be very hard for bands, even if they are as good or have as epic of members in them as those people, to reach that kind of fame in the same regard, to have that kind of power over the next
and
generation. I think that whole experience might be
I
changed
think
forever.
I think you're right on some level, because don't get me wrong,
I don't want that to be true.
there's always a chance the record industry could turn around one day and go, like here in the next year, they could very well turn around and go, you know what? When we marketed these bands in the 80s the way we did, it made us a lot of money. Why not do it again? And it can happen. All you got to get is the right set of people that work for these big labels to go, I want to invest $100,000
Yep.
into this band. I want to invest $250,000 into this
Yep.
one.
Yep.
It's it. It's all it's
Yep.
going to take. I mean,
Yeah. And
it's all it needs.
the scouting for the best and the most elite needs to happen because we're so flooded, because you can just pay them to do stuff and you get an album produced, you know what I mean? Whether it's 200 or 200,000, you pay for it, right? Nobody's scouting for the best talent, driving from town to town, finding some little redneck nowhere kid who's the next Jimi Hendrix, right? Or
I mean,
whatever.
You don't have that
That
like you
needs to
did
come
back then.
back.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think now with social media, it makes it a lot easier because
And
with social
harder.
media, you can look up a band on YouTube, and or you can hear about them through Facebook, which everything's kind of all intertwined now. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and I think nowadays people can just go check them out. And if they decide they want to invest, then they go and they go to one of the shows and go, hey, I'm so and so from such and such records. I'd like to invest in your music. I'd like to invest in your band. How would you like to sign on with Sony? Or how would you like to sign on with Universal? The big guns.
Right.
Um, you know, it would be cool to see that happen again. I mean, here's the thing. Look at Greta Van Fleet. Greta Van Fleet, I already know about the insider part of that band, and what I've heard from people that are in the inside is that their parents basically knew people in the industry who could get, basically said, here, we'll pay you this much money if you sign our son's band. And they got out there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
here's the thing. One thing I've learned about the music industry, it's all about who you know.
Yes.
If
Yes.
if you are connected to somebody, that somebody that you are connected to knows someone else that you don't know who can get you here, here, here. And that's just the way the entertainment industry is. So here's the way I look at it. Just hope for the best and never give up. Just keep playing, put your
Yes.
music out
I
there
agree.
and rock it as hard as you can because there's always going to be somebody who's going to love what you're doing. Oh, and real quick before I go, because my phone is actually at 11% now. Um, Real quick before I go, you had asked a question. This is so you said, what's the best experience you've had? One of the best that I did have, because I just remembered, is I've had messages sent to me on Facebook. I had I've had people contact me and let me know that my music and my post have helped people keep it's kept them from killing themselves. It's helped them beat heroin addiction. It's helped them beat alcoholism. It's helped them get through the day. That is probably what I would say is the best fan reaction I probably have ever had. I've
I
had
I
dudes write
won't
me
lie.
like letters this fucking long. I mean, I'm scrolling and I'm reading it. I mean, I kid you not, it would have been this long and and this wide because of everything they were saying. And I was just like, how of course it floors me, when things like that happen because it's like, wow, I'm not anywhere nearly as big as anybody over here that I love. I'm just a little guy, but they think
I
they put me in there with all those people.
Yeah, I don't think that stardom really, has anything to do with how many people you've influenced. It's just how you've influenced the many you have.
The
And
yeah, the impact.
personally, it's saved my life. Your support is like, I don't know, man. I so many times I would have given up on myself or just, I've been at that point,
I'm not gonna
right?
let you.
So I
I'm not
mean,
gonna.
what?
Yeah, I said I'm not gonna let you do
I
that.
know. You're awesome, man. I mean, thank you so much. So, I mean, I'll
You're welcome.
personally write you a letter, a mile long if you want one. But I mean, that's the power that you guys have, truthfully, right? And I think a lot of people forget about that when they're just going about their day to day, how much therapy music really is for people,
Yeah,
and
and I
coping.
have to admit it. I mean, anytime I get a letter like that, and they don't happen very often, but when they do happen, it makes me kind of step back and go, "Wow, I must be doing something right."
Yes.
And honestly, when I release the album, I'm going to release the thing I just want people to like it, man. That's it. I just hope people. My goal in the world of metal is to make music that 20 years after it was released, there's still people picking up going, dude, you need to hear this record. That's
Yes.
it. You need
Yes.
to hear this
Yes.
band. You need to hear this. Dude, this
Yes.
song, this chorus, dude, check him out.
Yeah.
Because in 20 years, I'll be 65 years old. So, I would very much like to at least achieve that in my life to where I've been able to get out and, perform this stuff too. And people will
Yeah.
go, dude, this is great, and I want it to be spoken of in the same breath as Iron Maiden and Metallica and Halloween and Gamma Ray and Primal Fear and Slayer and Obituary and At the Gates and all those bands. I love all those bands. I love what each of those bands from each of those genres has contributed. And they've all influenced me in one way or another. And I just want to be able to make music that makes a metal fan go, dude, I want to pick up the guitar. I want to start a band.
Yeah. Do you
Jimi
think
Mitchell
that
is
being a
good.
solo or not being tied to one band, because I think you could have been in any one of those bands, you know what I mean? You just named very easily and run away with it, and probably would have been, 1,000 times more well known if it was just one consistent project all the time. Do you not agree?
I don't know. I mean, the way I look at it, I just want to do what I'm doing and
Oh
see
yeah,
where it
yeah,
goes.
no.
That's it. Like I said, I want to be remembered. I want to be, you know, I just want to be remembered and respected in the same way those guys are.
Yeah,
And I want to be able to perform it live. And I will always be thankful for anyone who buys my music, comes to a show, or even writes me and says, I love what you're doing, keep doing it.
yeah.
Anybody who works with me, anybody who says, hey, Jimmy, I like what you're doing, let's collaborate. Okay. I respect every one of those
I
people.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I'm from West Virginia. I am from a poor fucking
Yes.
place. And you can't forget where you come from, no matter how big you get. It's like, I think that, yeah, there are people who forget where they come from, especially if they come from a place like this.
Mhm.
I can't get away from it. I'm 45 and I've never been able to get away from this place. And like I was telling my buddy Matt the other day, I said, dude, I said, when I go do recording, I have a kind of a ghetto hillbilly way of going about things because, and the reason what I meant by that was I don't go on YouTube and go, oh, how do I do this on Reaper? How do I do this on this? I don't do that. I sit there and I fuck with the shit until I go, oh, okay, this works. And then I just keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I've always, it's funny because like if you look at all my albums, um, actually what I'll do one of these days, if possible, I'd have to do it all through email, but I could give you every album I've ever done and let you hear how the progression has went, over time. It's like first record I did, I simply used a goddamn distortion pedal, plugged, I plugged my guitar into the distortion pedal and plugged it straight into the old recording board I used to own and just recorded. I didn't use an amp. I just chugged out the ideas. I used drum loops from a keyboard and did fills with a keyboard.
Uh-huh.
And that was it. And I put that out and people were like, dude, are you serious? I said, yeah. And I didn't have a bass player. I didn't even play bass on the record. And then the second one, I did basically the same thing. I just used more updated sound as far as my guitars, but the drums were still drum machine things.
Yeah.
And I've just kind of, progressed little by little. I learn more and more as it goes. And that's it.
Well,
Listen, I
that's,
got to jump.
yep.
I'm
All
down to
right,
5%.
man. It's always good talking to you. Miss you very much. Talk to you real soon. Okay, brother? Thanks.
All right.
All right.
Later. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.